welcome back to Horn the Collector with me, Jace. I wanted to do a brief video on... let's see how brief it is. Nothing's ever brief with me if I'm talking. About a subject that I don't think I've seen it approached that much on sort of YouTube or even Facebook groups, come to that matter, which I find a little bit surprising. I know not everybody's into gaming, but not everybody's into comics, and not everybody's into the same film. You know, not everybody's even into the same lines. You know, I have nothing to do with DC and Marvel, but I still talk about it. I've talked about it on this channel. You know, so I just thought I'd like to just do a quick video really on computer games, because I've certainly had a few pieces in the past from computer games, which I'm going to get to very quickly. And well, maybe not very quickly, you know what I'm like. Let me just start by saying I don't consider myself to be a gamer, by the way. I am nowhere near good enough. I'm terrible, actually. But I persevere, I don't give up. Which tends to lead to my other downfall, which is I am a major... I rage terrible. Anybody walking past my house while I'm struggling with a boss or something, the language that they can hear probably sailing out my house is horrendous. So yeah, and my PlayStation controller has more than once sailed across this room. So yeah, I'm really terrible for that. But for me, I think it started. Well, to be honest with you, it started at the end of the '70s when my brother had a computer for Christmas. And I can remember the first game that me and my brother sat playing. This was in the days where you had a cassette. You had a little cassette, an actual plastic cassette. And you had to put it into like a cassette player, which was plugged into the computer, and it made this awful noise while it loaded. You had to wait for it to load. And the game that we and him played was called Fire Ant. I can remember that game clearly because we played. I think it had 8 levels. That was it, 8 levels. And I can't remember how long it took us to do it, but we did it. And I really didn't have anything to do with computer games then until probably towards the end of the '90s, when I bought my first house, and I lived alone, and I still do now. And I bought an N64. One of my mates said to me, "Yeah, you want to get a Nintendo, mate? You know, we can bang some games on it and all that." And the first game I got into was one of the best games I've ever played, actually. Was Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, which I can remember, that open world and the time travel, but the music as well. The music was, even now as I'm saying this, I can remember that fantastic. There was 2 bits of music that I loved, and I can hear them now. Song of Storms was one. You know, the guy in the windmill playing the which you paradoxically teach him, and then he teaches it back to you. That guy. And I loved that eerie, mysterious music when you got to the forest temple. I used to go in there, kill them 2 wolves that came out, and then just stand there and listen to that music playing. I loved that music. So, for me, Legend of Zelda was a sort of a franchise, a line of game that I've loved from when I first played Ocarina of Time. You know, I played Majora's Mask, Skyward Sword, whatever other games, all the way up to Wind Waker, all the way up to Twilight Princess, and most recently Breath of the Wild. And even with Breath of the Wild, I had to play it. I had to try and get all the armor sets, and because the boss fights were ridiculous and easy. There were no dungeons either, which was really disappointing. But the actual open world gameplay was superb. But I know I went and did the expansion pack to it, and I got the motorbike. And like I say, I had to try and collect all the different armor sets. 897 Koroks I got. I couldn't find the last 3 Koroks. Don't know where they were. Gave up looking for them. Yeah, and I can remember going back to sort of Ocarina of Time days. It was, because you had to wait years for another game to come out. And I think the next one was Majora's Mask, which again was another superb game. And it was my brother who sort of said to me one day, "You want to come play World of Warcraft?" So that was it. I started playing Warcraft with my brother, and that led to sort of, I don't know how long I was playing it for, but I used to play it for about a year, 18 months, and I wouldn't play it for 6 months, maybe a year, then I'd go back to it. All I can remember is, I know when I started playing it, it was Cataclysm was the expansion that was out. And I played all 3 Mists of Pandaria, which I actually liked. And then Warlords of Draenor, which was just, was so bad. and was it Legion after that? And I quit playing during Legion, and I went back briefly last year, I think it was, or it might have been the year before, because me and a mate from work were talking about Warcraft, and he said he used to play. Well, we found out that you could actually play for free and level a character to about level 50, I think it was, and I did an undead warrior. And I actually ended up then subscribing, as it was on my main. My main character was a Beastmaster Hunter because I loved having pets. I had enough gold. I had about 500,000 gold on my account, I think, to actually buy game time because I didn't really want to get too hooked on subscribing and getting buried into it again. And so I was playing in Battle of Azeroth, so I was leveling that warrior and playing on the hunter, but I was playing a lot of old content as well. But for me, it all got very monotonous. But having putting all that to one side, because it's sort of beside the point I'm trying to get at, I ended up buying a couple of the Blizzard statues, and I had Sylvanas, which was a fantastic statue, and she's one of my favourite characters. Like I've said before, I love bad guys. Not that she was particularly a bad guy at that point, was she? She's gone bad now, I believe. I've lost track after Battle of Azeroth, but I know she was going pretty horrendous in Battle of Azeroth. But I believe now in this, is it Shadowlands, the new one now? She's really bad. I don't know quite what's happened to anyone or anything. I did used to watch a lot of Asmongold, who I think is fantastic at he's on his channel and presenting and being engaging and entertaining, and those transmog competitions he does are absolutely superb, and I really enjoyed watching. Even when I wasn't playing Warcraft, I used to enjoy watching that. So the only sort of up-to-date stuff I've had is watching him, I think, and Bellular Gaming was another one I used to watch vaguely. But yeah, so I had that piece, and I also had the statue from Blizzard of my favourite character. He was my favourite character anyway, but after I read the book and then played through Legion, where you briefly play as him, was Illidan. And the strange thing was, the Illidan statue in silhouette, I had him over there, looked fantastic, looked brilliant with the wings and those huge horns and the war glaives. Unfortunately, when it was light or there was light on him and you got up close, for me, it was pretty poor. And I know people have got that statue who really like it, but for me personally, I found it quite very basic paint job and not really detailed all that well. And to me, he just looked like a blown up version of your basic 6-inch plastic toy, unfortunately. And I couldn't get beyond that. And I'm not knocking anyone that's got it, but for me, that's how it lay. My favourite character as well, for God's sake. So I sold him. And unfortunately, I sold Sylvanas not long afterwards. But weirdly, my very first Prime 1 piece was from a game, and it was Lady Maria of the Astral Clock Tower. One of the best pieces I've ever owned. Loved it. Had no idea what Bloodborne was. Didn't even know what game she was from. I had to Google it. No idea. I just saw the piece one day, and I was just I've got to have that. I've got to have it. And I say to this day, she's one of the best statues I've ever had. I really only sold her solely for display space because I was collecting Court of the Dead, and they were slowly spreading all around this room. And yeah, that was it really. But anyone who's into Bloodborne, who may be on the fence about thinking about getting them pieces, crikey, I wouldn't hesitate because she was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And it sort of led now that the statues from games have influenced me to not only play the games, but buy the bloody console to play the games. Now, the first one I saw was the both Prime 1 pieces was, they're both double pieces as well. You could buy just the one or you'd have the two that fit together, was from the God of War, which when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, that's the best statue I'd ever seen. And to this day, I'd have it in certainly my top 10 best statues I've ever seen. And off the back of that, I literally went and bought a PS5 and played God of War. And the other piece was Aloy and the Stalker from Horizon Zero Dawn. Again, I've played that game now. Played that game all the way through 100%, and the Frozen Waste expansion bit 100%. and the Aloy piece. I mean, even as I was taking the screenshot to put on this video, because as I was going through my head last night in bed, I was looking at that statue, that Aloy statue, and the Stalker, and I was like, this is a magnificent statue. It really is magnificent, and I've told myself I'm not going to buy any statues from games. I'm just not going to buy them because of display space and the money involved and everything else. But anyone who's getting that piece or got that piece, I'm not even sure if she's been. I don't think she's been released yet. A fair play to you, because it looks incredible. I'm mildly envious. Yeah, so it was really. I was just sort of surprised that there's not been more conversation on sort of statues and the gaming side of it. I've not seen them anyway. Maybe there is. Maybe there's a whole separate group. And because there's the other pieces I've seen from Devil May Cry. I never played Devil May Cry, but I've seen one or two companies doing statues from Devil May Cry. Prime 1 and Darkside certainly are doing statues from that line. And Prime 1 teased on one of their showcases The Last of Us they're doing, which at the time I didn't even know what The Last of Us was. Again, I had to go and look. Resident Evil, obviously they do pieces of Resident Evil. And, oh yeah, two incredible pieces from Death Stranding. Incredible looking pieces. And, do you know what? I went and bloody bought that game. Now, maybe someone watching this video now, you played Death Stranding and you love that game. Please, can you comment below and explain to me the point of that game? Because I don't know, the graphics, sublime. The longest cinematic introduction to a game I have ever played. But I'm sort of like, I think my gameplay was just shy of 10 hours so far. And I'm trying to work out what the bloody point of the game is. Because at the moment, all I seem to be doing is carrying a load of bloody parcels on my back, trying to find a way up a mountain whilst staying out the rain, and also avoiding them smoky ghost things that come out the ground. So yeah, I'm a little bit confused. Like I say, the graphics are sublime on it, and I love all like the detail when you put your control panel thing on. I told you I'm crap at games. I really am. But I you see, with computer games, it's a bit like books with me. If I can't get into a book in the first, say, 100 pages, it's gone. And with a computer game, I mean, Death Stranding's done well that after 8-9 hours, I'm still sticking with it. Because if I can't get into a game in sort of 2, 3, 4 hours, I generally it gets abandoned. So yeah, I'm a little, because I know it's got a huge whole subculture, huge following. Obviously, it must have for Prime 1 to have done these statues. So maybe I'm missing something, or maybe you have to play quite a way into the game for it to start eventually unfolding. I don't know. If that's the case, probably not going to happen because I've got quite bored. So yeah, it was really, I just wanted to, for such a strong presence in the whole culture, and something that's like the last thing to really come in, which now has films made off the back of it, statues made off of it, comics, books. And to not have been sort of discussed. It popped in my head just a couple of days ago, and I thought I'm going to do a quick video on it really, and just sort of see if anybody comes back with anything or any comments or wants to talk about it more. Maybe wants me to do a video chatting about some of the games that I've mentioned that I've played, like Legend of Zelda, God of War, Horizon, Warcraft, which would be absolutely sound. I'll talk about them, certainly Warcraft and Zelda all day. I'm very limited on the other ones because like I say, I'm not very good with games. So yeah, that was it really. That was the only reason I sort of thought of doing this video. So I'm not really going to rabbit on about it any longer. I'll see if any feedback I get back from it and what your thoughts are. What games some of you play? Do some of you collect the game in statues? And that's it really. I'll leave it at that. And because I've not long got back from work and I'm actually cooking my tea while I'm doing this. So yeah, I'll catch you all on the next video. Thank you ever so much. I had some few new subscribers in the last few days, actually. So thank you to and welcome to all you new subscribers. Thank you to everybody, obviously, who has subscribed and is here and watching and commenting. And I did one of the videos I did just before Christmas. So it's only about 3 or 4 days. It's had like well over 200 views, which is superb. But I've not even got to 100 subscribers yet, which means half of you haven't subscribed. So do us a favour, there's a little button down there. Just click it, subscribe for us, please. Hugely, hugely, hugely appreciated if you would. Thank you, everyone, obviously, for watching, the comments, everything. Please keep it all coming, guys. Like, share, you know the drill now. And I'll catch you all on the next video. Hopefully I'll get one banged out before New Year. What we on today? The 28th, 29th? Yeah, 3 days. So hopefully I'll get a video out in the next 2 days, 3 days before, hopefully before we march proudly into 2022 anyway. If for any reason I don't, have a great New Year's Eve, everyone. And Happy New Year for 2022 and all them new pieces we're all going to get and talk about and preview and everything else. That'll be superb. So I'm going. Have a great evening, everyone. And I'll catch you all very soon. Take care of yourselves.